I've always said that branding is an operational function because you get a corporate culture. And I mean, the guy that we're going to be talking to shortly, he gets that, right? That is a operational aspect of your business.
Okay, so let's do that.
Yeah.
Let's introduce our guest that you brought here.
Well, I'm very excited. I know we've changed it up a bit, but I requested Michael Roloson be a part of the discussion.
You kind of demanded.
Yeah, I did. Okay. I did. I requested that Michael Roloson with PEO Focus be a part of the discussion of the article I brought, because this is my blog just went live with the new workforce paradigm, what COVID's aftermath. And he inspired me to write this article because he presented we're both part of the Charlotte area consultants group. I actually was so impressed, I recommended him to the Institute of Management Consultants to share his information. But he is the director and founder of PEO Focus here in Charlotte. And he's all about, human resource management, consulting, human capital consulting, cost reduction strategies as it relates to. And I think the thing, it doesn't surprise me because I've seen him in action. What his mantra is, make it happen. I'm all about that. So I like people that try to make it happen. And there's probably no time ever in our history of workforce where the tables have changed and workforce actually has some control here. And they're showing it in so many different ways. And if employers don't wake up and get all their ducks in a row, and this guy knows all this stuff, and so this
Sherre,
is why I brought him.
You put the guy on a pedestal, and he looked from where I can see, he looks like he's about 12. So I don't think it's possible for him to be Jesus Christ at 12 years old.
So before we get into the the 5 key points from my article, okay, I want Michael, talk to us about, well, first of all, what is PEO, so people and so understand, so they understand what that is, and then what got you into this business. Let's talk about that first.
Yeah, sure. So let's address the age thing. Benjamin Button was kind of based on me. Just throwing that out there.
Michael, thank you for coming, buddy. I appreciate it.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me on the show, right? So we started the business PEO Focus because it helps companies with outsourced human resource management. And PEO stands for Professional Employer Organization. It allows companies who are smaller to partner with a human resource business for a co-employment solution that allows their companies to take advantage of things that are generally reserved for larger companies. So,
and it really is almost impossible for small business people to handle this area.
Oh, it is.
HR has become such a challenge.
And very complex.
It's become very complex, right? Politically, our nation has been changing so much that business administration and labor laws keep changing continuously, and they can't keep up with everything, right? So this allows them to focus more on their business, have somebody else handle a lot of the compliance, the tax, the administrative burden that comes with running an organization, so that they can focus on the parts that are going to move the business forward, grow it, and put their employees in a position to be successful and also have the benefit packages that they want in place.
It used to be a tax accountant was somebody that was constantly learning new laws and helping small business people. Mm-hmm. Now that's the same thing with HR. That stuff is changing as rapidly as taxes.
Is huge, right? Compliance in HR has just become as crazy as some other industries. Yeah.
It's incredibly complex, and I'm learning myself every day because I have to keep up on it. And luckily, I have a stable of partners who are able to keep me up to speed with everything. But that's because that's my profession, that's my job, right? So if I was sitting here running any other type of business trying to keep up with this as well, there's just not enough time in the day.
And just like taxes, I don't care about it. In other words, I want to read Sherre's book, right? I don't want to read HR information. I mean, us small business people can only do so much, right? This is an area where we'll be happy to yield this information to a professional.
Right. One of the 5 points I'm going to talk about in this article, I experienced it immediately with an international intern and how I had to word my subcontractor agreement with them so that they could stay in the country. And versus, it's just amazing. It's just amazing. And I would have never known that, but I was, and it was just right after your presentation. And then that happened. I'm like, gee, that's interesting, right?
Sure.
Right after your presentation, when I realized that remote and working from home were 2 different things, right? It's just like, whoa, interesting.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
It's just a small distinction, right? So you might be trying to say the same thing with both, but legally you're in a different boat. Working from home means you have to work from home. You can have multiple homes, and that counts as working from home. But working remotely means working remotely. You can work anywhere in the world. So if you give somebody the ability in their contractual paperwork or their agreement, their employment agreement to work remotely, you can't get upset at them if they're in Portugal when you call. That they're working within the terms of their agreement with you. But
fascinating.
If you say that they're supposed to be working from home, that could change. If they're taking a vacation in Florida somewhere, but still getting the work done. And then you can
Michael,
decide how you
don't say
handle
that. Julie's going to pack up and go to the beach. Don't say that. Don't do that.
Just write it correctly in the terms of it impacts labor law. It impacts workers' comp insurance.
It does.
There are a lot of domino effects
yeah,
with how you put this paperwork together. And that's one of the things we help people with.
Well, and that's what happened with the international intern. Okay, so she's from Denmark. And in order for her to stay here and work, I had remote. She said you need to change that to work from home so she could work from the home she's in right now geographically within this area and also have the ability to meet in person. All right. I had to put that in there so that she could have her visa extended from the work standpoint. Yep. Because if I would have said remote, they said, well, you can come back. You don't need to be in the U.S. And I was like, wow. I mean, I literally experienced it right after he shared that information with me.
Without Michael, I wouldn't even know to do that, right? I mean,
most people wouldn't.
How would I know that?
Right.
And that's what I was talking about earlier. You can invest your time trying to keep up with all of these things, which is nearly impossible. What our company does is we help you find the right people, the right partners to put in place to do this for you. And then we negotiate the contracts and agreements with those vendors so that you don't have to, and we represent you on your behalf.
So you're not doing the work. You are helping us find people that can do that and other third parties.
Correct. So the complexity and the differences between all the different solutions that people can choose, the ability to navigate that is very, very difficult. You don't understand the terms. You don't understand which groups are going to be the ones that excel at specifically what your business is trying to accomplish versus just in general what they do. And then those agreements, we're in a position where we can actually help alter them for our clients so that the agreement is more well situated to their personal situation as opposed to just a generic all-in agreement.
Michael, I appreciate all that, but I got to tell you, as you're talking, it just makes me mad at my government that they're making small business people's lives harder, and the only way to combat that is an organization like yours.
Yeah, Joe, that's a whole different conversation. I'm not even going to go down that road right now.
No, you don't have to go there, and you don't have to agree with me, but it still angers me, Michael. I want you to know that.
So I'm going to turn the tables because I think leadership in all businesses need to take real notice of how they're leading their companies and how they're approaching employee engagement and everything else. Because at the beginning of my article, I've been talking about this for years, okay? So in 2015, Dale Carnegie Institute said that there was 71% basically disengagement. So 29% of employees are fully engaged, okay? Then in 2019, the Gallup organization did a new study, and it was all over. Oh, employee engagement has significantly increased to 35%. From 29% to 35% of employees. And I'm like, okay, I don't know, but in any credentialing or any academic setting, isn't 70% failing? And so I'm like, how can they be so excited about 35% full engagement? Are you kidding me? So I'm like, this is okay, really? And so what's happened, in my opinion, with the whole COVID situation and things getting turned upside down is the fact that the employer was always in the driver's seat for the most part, and employees didn't have as much choice in what they, and then you've got people that are told they have to come into the office and they go, nope, I'm staying here. Would that have happened 10 years ago? Heck no, they would have gotten fired, but they're not getting fired. Guess what? They're not getting fired, okay? So this is really fascinating. And, so between Michael's great presentation and then me making some notes, I came up with 4 other, there's the
See, Michael, I told you she was the Google.
You did. You mentioned it.
She is the Google.
I noticed who's the references. Who's got the top spots in the Google results?
I got you.
It's this guy.
I got you. I got you.
Yeah. So the other 4 points that we're going to talk about is the great, resignation. Everyone's heard about the great resignation that happened, and I've got a really important point I want to make there. But the other 3 are the cost of being employed. Okay, the cost of being employed. Now, all employers look at what the cost to replace an employee is, but now employees are starting to look at, okay, what is the cost of me being employed? Because what happened after the when you're forced to work from home for 12 to 18 months, all of a sudden you're saving on gas, you're saving on commuting. Oh, because of work from home, you're homeschooling and saving on daycare. So how much time do we have? Okay, good. So
I'm in control of that.
You are.
I am in control.
So what's fascinating is how now employees are looking at, okay, how much does it cost for me to switch to this job? How much is it going to cost in all these expenses? And in some cases, it can be tens of thousands of dollars. So then all of a sudden, the pay becomes important, benefits become important. So then benefits being more important, that leads to benefits being more important. And there's a really interesting, and I'll talk about that. I want to talk about that in more detail because this guy knows all about this stuff.
Well, I'll tell you something. I was watching the news about 3-4 months ago, and Jamie Dimon, CEO of J.P. Morgan, he was saying the problem is he's got to get his people back to work because there's about a 20 to 25% group of people that are not productive at home.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
isn't that a shame?
No, that's proven. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's a shame that you've got 25%.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And so it's not that they care where you work; it's that they care that you're productive, right?
Productive is everything. Yeah.
So now the new challenge is we got to make this 25% productive, or they got to come to work.
Right. And control, and that's my number 5 point: control versus productivity. And so they're going to, employees are going to have to change it up. Those who aren't as productive, they probably need to come in.
So let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to dig into Sherre, the Google woman's work. And Michael, you try and keep up. Try and keep up.
I'm going to do my best.
Okay. You are listening to Local Biz Now. I am Joe Vagnone. And go to the book and listen to us live if you want. We are here with Michael. Say your last name again, Michael.
Roloson.
Roloson.
Correct.
Did I get that right?
You got it right.
It seems a little tricky when I'm trying to read it, you understand?
So you remember it.
He is the director of PEO Focus. Thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate it.
Sure.
We'll be right back.
Fair enough.
So, Michael, thank you, my friend. I do appreciate you being here. You are the director of PEO Focus. What is that? Just remind everybody that just tuned in.
Sure. So PEO Focus is an HR and benefits consulting firm. We help companies navigate the complexities of putting things in place to help their employees succeed.
Thank you, my friend, so much. I appreciate that. And so what, before we dig into Miss Google's article, what would a primary client profile look like? What client are you looking for?
Yeah, so it's so diverse, right? We work with international companies who are looking to understand how things work and navigate the policies that are here in the United States because they're just so different. We work with a lot of our clients have employees in multiple states because that means they have to juggle different compliance laws, right, in each state. A lot of our clients are looking to us to help them put in better benefit packages or looking for advice for those benefit packages for their employees.
And that's where the group benefits comes into play because you can get better, you can get like a big business type of advantage there.
We can help open doors that they just don't have access to on their own,
yeah.
Right? And then the other pieces are going to be, they have an HR team or they have an HR person. They want to free up that person to be able to make more of an impact on the company. So we help put things in place to help alleviate the administrative burden of the HR pieces for them, give them tools that they can put in place, and they can start making more of an impact on the company. Nobody goes to school to get an HR degree to do payroll, right? And to do all of the Excel pieces and the busy work, right? They do it to make an impact on employee culture. That's what they want to focus their energy on.
Especially now.
And we help them do that. Absolutely. And it's more important than ever right now.
I've got a buddy of mine who does HR for a large retailer, and he said, Joe, what I want to do, when I thought HR was about, was helping the employees and making their lives better and making sure that there's a path for them to promote. He said, I'm just doing paperwork.
Right. Well, it's interesting. A New York client of mine, Allwell, they brought in, and interestingly enough, I made the recommendation during COVID. They had somebody in their HR, the director of their HR, leave, and I said, if you had any choice, regardless of who, is there, because a lot of people were coming back to their company because they have a really cool culture. I said, is there anybody you wish you could bring back? And they thought of this person that left because the person was engaged, now married. Her then fiance got a position in Florida, And so at that time, no choice. She had to go, right?
Right.
I said, well, what about bringing her back? And of course, thanks to COVID, they didn't even think twice of it. And so now she is, working out of Florida. But her role is she is director of employee happiness. She is director of employee happiness.
They do change the names a lot.
Yeah. But that is her whole focus. They have other HR specialists that do some of the stuff you're talking about. But her role is all about the happiness of the employee.
Okay, so you wrote an article.
Yep.
Put it on the Google, because she is, Michael, the Google.
Understood.
Are we clear on that now?
I learned that in the first and second part of this show.
Okay. I want to be clear about that. But she told me you inspired this article. So I am impressed that you inspired number one. That's impressive.
I always try to be the top result on Google.
So, Sherre, what you got for us?
Okay, so I already alluded to all 5 of these. So, the 5 points of why the aftermath of COVID has changed workforce forever, and how employers need to work and understand what the workforce wants. And the first one was the whole hybrid versus in-office versus remote versus from home. We all know that's an issue. Everyone's very familiar with the Great Resignation. I want to talk a little bit more about that because of another result that's important to share. The cost of being employed. I talked about that before the break. Some other things that are being considered, because all generations love their pets, is pet care. So pet care, commuting. The other thing that's really being considered with the cost of being employed is, who would have thought that a grocery worker was at risk until COVID, right? So all of a sudden, people are looking at, is this job too risky for my health? All right, or whatever. So then there's that's something you can't even put a price on, right? We used to just think it was.
I went to the grocery store in the middle of COVID, and I was talking with the cashier, and I said, "So, you're essential," and he said, "I wish I was paid like I was essential."
Absolutely. Well, that's changed too, right?
Sure has.
Look how that's changed.
He felt the disrespect.
Right.
And it's interesting, because it wasn't until that moment that you realize, I do have respect for that position that I may not have 6 months earlier.
Absolutely. Sure. Well, and of course, you see what rates are now. Before COVID, it was minimum wage. Now it's $13 to $20 an hour they're talking about,
Yep.
So benefits more important. And I want to dive in deep with that, and then control, employer control versus productivity, and balancing that whole aspect out in order to have employees that really want to work, and allowing them to work in the way that's going to make them most productive versus what the company thinks is going to make them most productive.
Sherre, I've said this to a couple of business people. We got to be careful, because if big business gets this right, there'll be no reason for people like me to be self-employed. I am self-employed because I want to get up in the morning and control my day, right? If big business does it correctly, right, and allows their staff to be productive but in a way that works for them from home, there'll be no reason for you to take the calculated risk to be self-employed. This is an opportunity for big business to succeed right here. Now, whether they take it or not is a whole nother story.
Well, it's an opportunity for all business to succeed.
Sure, but it's interesting you put that, if they get it right. What you're going to see a lot is kind of, we talk about hybrid model. This will be a different version of hybrid model, especially in the tech field. People are moving more and more, companies are moving more towards contract work, which does give the worker a lot more freedom and flexibility. So they like that aspect of it. The wages are a little bit higher. They get to choose how they want to spend those things, as opposed to going into their benefit package, the company's benefit package. And the company likes it because they actually have a cost savings, even though they're paying a higher wage to the contractor. So you're starting to see a lot of growth there, which goes into, hey, I am employed by myself, but I am reliant on the employer.
Right.
Interesting.
Well, and let's talk. I really want to dive deep into the benefits are more important than pay, because right now, I call this a false negative in playing off of COVID, obviously, but I call this a false negative because I just heard from a controller of a construction company that they lost somebody to $50,000 more pay. Okay, so everyone's focusing on the pay right now, but he could also work remotely. Okay, and so right now there's this feeling that you have to pay out the wazoo. But the ultimate long term is going to be there were other things. Now, he made pay the big issue, but he also got to work remotely. He also
Right.
had a lot of other benefits that weren't being offered, okay? The benefits are, I believe, what's going to win in the end. And because in some ways, we're correcting what's been wrong with pay. Well, we need to look at that for teachers in some other areas too, okay, right? But
Careful, Sherre. We don't want to get into politics here.
but I really want. I mean, benefits is what you do, and so talk about what.
Let's go to break. We come
Okay.
back. Let's dig into the
Yeah.
benefits
Yeah,
because
that's huge.
it really is very helpful for business people to have you manage that entire process for them, and you make them, no matter their size, able to negotiate in a big business fashion, which is so helpful when it comes to that stuff. So let's take a break. When we come back, we'll talk about it.
Excellent.
You are listening to Local Biz Now. I am Joe Vagnone. If it's Friday morning, say it, Sherre. Say it, say it, say it.
Your business matters.
Yeah, we'll be right back. 100 AM, I am Joe Vagnone. And if it's Friday morning, your business matters. I'm here with Sherre DeMao, the business maestro, and the founder of BizGrowth, Inc., and the author of some books that I think are exceptional. Go to bizgrowthinc.com. And we are here with Michael. I'm not going to try and say his last name because I just don't want to. At PEO Focus. Michael, thank you for being here, buddy. I appreciate it.
Happy to be here.
So, Michael, we were talking during the break of the different types of benefits that you help companies manage. Can you kind of bullet point those for me? Because you guys were talking about 2 or 3 of them. I don't want Julie to hear about.
Sure.
I mean, there's some benefits I just don't
Listen
think.
up, Julie. Listen up.
Julie's got notes, got paper and pencil out right now.
Right. So what we do is we help our clients identify the benefits that are going to be important to their employees. We help see what the market is out there with their competitors, who they're competing with to attract talent, and to help them put together benefit packages that just make a lot of sense. A lot of people think health insurance is the first thing they think of when we talk about benefits, but it's so much more. Things like paid time off. PTO is a very, very important benefit that employees
That's
are looking
becoming
for right now.
huge now.
You
Yeah.
talk
I
about
didn't know
work-life
what
balance,
PTO
you
was.
know?
Okay.
It's just you get X amount of hours that you can utilize however you'd like.
And that's typically above and beyond vacation time. So
You know,
because some people say,
be
well, isn't
bundled
that
in.
vacation?
It can
You
be
can't
bundled
bundle
in.
it. Yeah.
One of my wife got a new job recently, and as an executive, they have this like total different structure, which is you can work whenever you want. Like it used to be. She's in the accounting field. It used to be they would track hours, they would track time, and they would track this stuff, and then their benefits would be attached to that, right?
Yes.
All that seems to have gone away, and they're simply saying, as an executive, here is what your expectations are, and they don't really care how many hours you work or don't work. It seemed to be a different view.
So this is a huge change that technology is bringing, and the workforce has been changing over the past 5 to 10 years, and now COVID has sped that up even
big time.
further, and that's kind of what Sherre's article touches on a little bit, is we are going more towards a results-driven workforce as opposed to I'm paying you for your time, right? And ultimately,
Is that not good for everybody?
Oh, it's huge.
it's good for everybody. It's very, very good for companies, right? Because companies, what they want to do is progress the business. And if they can get management and everybody into this mindset of these are the goals and these are the things that we need to do to progress the business, and this is what I'm paying my employees to do, it puts the employees in a much better position. They understand what's expected of them. They're incentivized to put more into this business as opposed to when they're only being paid for their time and their hours.
Right.
Julie just told me she's taking the rest of the day off.
I
don't appreciate your...
If she feels she's been productive enough for today to improve her business, that's her business.
Who are you to say such a thing, Michael?
So let's dive in.
Actually, us small business people have been that way for years, right?
Yeah.
I've lived that my entire life.
We'll just find new things to work on.
Yeah.
Well, so I want to dive into, because you led right into that beautifully, okay, the control versus the productivity. And there was a great MIT article that I cited that was looking at the whole aspect of employers really taking notice of the fact that it's no longer about, well, you will come in here, you will work these many hours and all of that, that they really need to embrace embrace the aspect of what is going to make the employee, the employee most productive. And I actually quote Michael in my article because he had a really great quote around, instead of asking, why an employee wants to work for you or whatever, they need to be asking more about what is going to make you feel the most fulfilled and the most productive. I mean, I'm paraphrasing what you said.
And Michael, it's not everybody work from home. I mean, my wife loves going to the office 2 days a week. I mean, she likes that interaction. She wants that. So it really is a hybrid look.
Some people do not enjoy working from home.
Oh,
they
yeah,
don't
they
like
can't.
the isolation. They prefer the socialization that comes from the workforce. They feel that they can collaborate with others and be more productive that way. And there are other people who just really enjoy and feel they're more productive at home. They're not maybe being asked questions throughout the day that interrupts their process. They're more
Michael,
of a tunnel vision
I really
person.
don't like people, you understand? So
I noticed that. It's the first thing I noticed about you.
Well, and I think there's a big myth out there and an assumption out there that the younger generation is so cool. My daughter, my 23-year-old daughter, has yet to take an internship because they all were remote, and she was so sick of remote classes. She wants to be in an environment. And most of this younger generation don't make that assumption, because they're techies and they could do stuff at 4 years old. No. They want to be around people. They do.
That's part
That's
of
why
learning.
corporate culture is really important to them.
I imagine that's part of the learning process too, right?
Right.
Is her desire to be in an office because she has more access to people who can help her improve and grow as
Right.
I've been
career.
saying for years, Starbucks is not about selling coffee. It really is about
Absolutely,
business people getting together,
Yeah.
It is. So what are you seeing from that control versus productivity aspect, Michael?
So you're seeing people trying to get a good footing on it. Also, they have to be cognizant of the fact that labor laws and compliance pieces are finally catching up to this. They haven't even been put in place yet. Like, how are we going to handle some of these claims if people are working from home? What does that look like? What are the rules and regulations around that? What does the invasion of privacy look like? Right? Because essentially a company is going to want access to your home. Are they going to be allowed to video you? Are they going to be allowed to track monitoring? Are they going to be able to know where you are in the home? Like, what are people going to allow?
Well, and the other big
knows
benefit
exactly when she's on her computer or not. Yeah.
And then how much access do they have to personal computers, right?
Right.
BYOD, bring your own device, has become so much more popular. Are we going to have to go back to where they're providing hardware?
Michael got all these sexy new terms.
and the other thing too that I saw is one of the top 21 benefits that I found from Snack Nation. They were, compared to what it was in 2017 before COVID. And one of them is, if I'm working from home, are you going to fund my in-home office? That's really interesting, with the equipment and everything else. So now those are some of the demands that you're starting to see from employees. It's very interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're going to have to work on these models. And you take a look at it. Like, some people are going to embrace it. Other people are not going to embrace it. There's also work that employees can do for themselves in ways that they never had access to before. Like, technology has really opened up the door for that.
Yeah.
And real quickly, you take a look at what happened in Virginia recently. It's one of the most recent things that you can cite. You can find tons and tons of articles on this if somebody wants to read about it. They just switched to a common office model. They had 300 people resign. Not everybody resigned because of that. It might have been part of the incentive behind it, but it's worth reading into is that, look, that's right around 10%, maybe a little bit less than 10%. It sounds like a very big number, but people are.
Yeah, but like if two people in one business, a small business, that could kill them.
It could, but a smaller business is going to be more in tune and have the ability to be in tune with their
Michael,
employees.
if somebody wanted to reach you, hurry up. How can they do it?
They can go to www.peofocus.com. They can email me personally at michael@peofocus.com, or they can call 888-991-PEOs.
Thank you, my friend.
Yep.
If it's Friday morning, your business matters. We will see you next week.